Good evening, fight fans, and welcome to another episode of Tough Sports TV. I'm your host, Jack Fletcher, and I'm delighted to welcome on this evening the man of the moment, Mr. Carl Greaves. Carl, what a weekend you just had! Fantastic performance from David Avanesian, mid-round stoppage, retained his European title, and just talk me through it.
Yeah, well, I'm over the moon for the team. Obviously, myself, Neil Marsh, Davies manager, and everyone involved who's been there with us from day one. Alan Levine, Eric Timor, and most of all, I'm delighted for David. I mean, he sacrifices so much. Obviously, leaving his family and friends in Russia to come over to train with me for 8 weeks. It can't be easy. He's got little children as well now, and you know yourself, just being away from your family for about a week when I mean, that's difficult enough, but imagine it being 8 weeks. So yeah, it's fair play to him. I mean, fantastic. What a performance.
Did you always expect David to go in there and do the job that he did? Was that a strategy that you implemented to push the pressure on Josh from the first bell? Because I can remember hearing you shouting from the corner, "Don't give him a minute! Don't give him a minute! Keep on him." Was that the tactic?
It's crazy, really, because everything we worked on, everything I said, become true. I mean, the game plan, David executed it perfect. It just happened a bit sooner than we expected. I mean, we knew that Josh would come out, start really bright, be sharp, be elusive, make David miss. But I just knew he wouldn't be able to sustain it. Whatever reason that's for, I don't know. But I've watched his last three fights, and like I said to people before, I've studied Josh more than any other opponent ever. And these last three fights have taught me all I needed to know, really. And I just knew that Josh wouldn't be able to sustain it, wouldn't be able to keep him off. And David's so strong, both physically and mentally, he will break your heart. Even if he's not punching, he's making you work, and that was the whole idea. As you heard me in the corner, don't let him breathe. And obviously, in boxing terms, it's don't give Josh a second. Even when he wants to do his work, and then he wants to go and have a rest, don't let him rest. Once he's done his work, keep on him, make him keep working, and you will find a way. And that's what happened.
Do you think that Josh Kelly's overconfidence going into the fight with Adam Booth could have been contributed to his undoing as well?
I don't know. I mean, I'm asking that. I've been asked that question a couple of times. I feel like they were forced to take that fight in the end because of obviously pulling out on the day over 2 years ago. Everybody always wanted this fight. There was a lot of animosity built up, a lot of pressure surrounding it. I mean, it was not the biggest fight that Davy's been in opponent wise, but it was the most high profile fight. And there was a lot of nervous energy built up over the week. I mean, I was absolutely sapped on Friday night after the weigh, and I couldn't even leave my room. I was drained, you know what I mean, mentally drained. So with Josh not being as experienced as David, I mean, David took it all in his stride, very, very strong mentally and very experienced. And I just don't, I think Josh was jumping about the way and burning up a lot of nervous energy. And that was the experience for me. And I just feel that, I mean, was Adam Booth really confident in the fight, or was he forced to take it? I don't know. I mean, I know Eddie wanted this fight more than anybody, and we persevered and wanted this fight more than anyone as well because we just knew that David had his number. I mean, a lot of people thought I was crazy the way I was talking, but trust me, I'm with David day in, day out. He's the only ever professional I've had been training hands-on full time ever, and I've been training fights for 15, 20 years now, and he's the only one I've worked with on a daily basis, twice a day, and the results are showing. I mean, he's a great lad to train, and absolutely delighted for him.
I mean, this was Josh Kelly's 11th pro fight. Normally, when you kind of talk about potential future champions, they go through a building up process. And normally on their 11th or 12th fight, they're not fighting European world champions. Do you think this was a fight too soon for Josh Kelly?
I mean, on hindsight, it was. I mean, I always knew it was. I mean, the best opponent that Josh Kelly's for is Ray Robinson. Ray Robinson got a draw with him. they might have been looking at that fight and thinking, yeah, Josh is ready after that, because Ray Robinson drew with Kavalauskas, who actually stopped David 3 years ago, albeit it wasn't the David that it is now. But I knew that David was a way better fighter than Ray Robinson style-wise. He was a nightmare for Josh. Ray Robinson was on him, Kelly, the second half of the fight, but he was slow, long, whereas David is fast and likes to go up close and work you over. So that was why I was always confident. I mean, listen, Adam Booth's meant to be this tactician, this mastermind of boxing, and can get the game plans right and move your fighters in the right direction at the right time. But he got this one completely wrong. But like I say, did he truly believe that Josh could beat David? I'm not too sure. He'll say he did, but obviously on hindsight it's backfired, and it was early too soon for him, and he could have done with a couple of more fights. But he's a former Olympian, he's a rising star of boxing, or was, and they obviously fancied the job. I mean, I know Eddie fancied the job, and I know in the bubble, in the build-up, they were talking a great fight. They were saying they was going to put it on David early and get him out of there. Nah, that was ludicrous tactics to me, because you don't do that with David. That's not how to beat David.
I mean, David's now on an exceptional run of form. He spoiled the party on Saturday night, retained his European title. So there's going to be many opportunities and options for David in the coming sort of weeks and months. How do you see things mapping out for David this year? Would you like to see him fight the likes of Conor Benn, or are we thinking about moving him onto the world stage? Who would you like to see him fight, Cole?
Yeah, Conor Benn's not in David's league, mate. Let's be honest. Listen, I really respect Conor Benn. He's a good fighter. He's the most improved boxer in Britain, and I wish him well, but he isn't ready for David yet. And he knows that deep down. I mean, he was talking like, and it was all set up for him to fight Josh, but we spoiled the party. And then when he got asked a question about fighting David, I think he completely swerved it. Let's be honest, David's had 4 wins in a row now, 4 back-to-back stoppages, starting with the Kerman Lajaraga one, who was 27-0 in 2019. He's gone on. He did a first-round job over Kerman, had another first-round win over Del Rio, and now he's just stopped Josh in 6 rounds, 3 defences of the European title. He's 32 years old. He's in the best form of his life. He deserves a world title fight, or at least a final eliminator. He's ranked number 5 across the board now in all the organisations. So he will get a big fight. He's signed to Matchroom. He's been signed with Matchroom. He's had a free fight deal. Started in the Del Rio fight. Josh Kelly was his second fight at Matchroom. He's got 1 more with them. Eddie was very, very impressed. Very impressed. He never expected that, I don't think. Let's be honest. Even though David was a champion, he was the away fighter. He got put in the red corner, which is the away corner for Matchroom. Had all their own kids in the blue corner. So even though we were champion, we got put in the away corner. Even though we come out second and announced second, but that's by the by. I mean, I don't think they expected it, but he definitely deserves a world title fight. Somebody like Sean Paul would be great. What a fight that would be. Both head on. You know what I mean? Like a fight. That would be a war.
I mean, David Avanesian is quickly turning into a wrecking machine in the boxing world. Everyone that's been put in front of him, he just walks straight through. So him against Short Porter, great 50-50 fight. How good is David Avanesian? Can he get that world title?
You know what? He's like fine wine, Jack. He's getting better with age. He's you can see the improvements he's made since losing to Kavalauskas. That defeat hurt him. It was another Eastern European. It was a Lithuanian based in America. He took that defeat very bad. He didn't perform. I mean, the ironic thing is, if he'd have beat Kavalauskas, he would have been challenging Terence Crawford. That was what was in the contract for mega money, which would have changed his life. So it hurt him, that defeat. He's regrouped, changed a few things around. He wasn't big enough for welterweight in them days. He was giving a lot of weight away on the night. And although he still gave a lot of weight away to Josh Kelly, David's a proper welterweight now. He's not absolutely killing himself to make the weight, and he's rehydrating well. And and putting a stone on after the weigh-in, which I think any more than a stone, you're fighting out your weight category. I really do. And Josh Kelly must have been a good 12 stone plus in that ring. I mean, he's got big legs. He's probably not as thick set as David on top, but he's got massive legs compared to David. You only have to look at watch the fight back. So, yeah, I mean, he's good enough to go on to win a world title now. He's improved so much. I mean, I know Conor Benn, I was on about how well he's improved, but David has as well, but at an higher level.
I think it's clear to see, and it's well publicised, that you've been massively influential on getting David to where he needs to be today. But when David first came to you, what have you worked on since then for him to be the fighter that he is today?
Just a different mentality. The way they do things in Russia to how we do things over here, or even me do things over here, it's completely different. So it took quite a while. I mean, I was chucked in the deep end with David. His first fight for me was a WBA interim world title fight in Monte Carlo. So it was an high-pressured job straight away. But we gelled straight away. We worked together, and it was good training someone who can really, really fight, because there's all this. I mean, I'm getting so much credit and praise now as this top trainer and all that. But listen, it's fantastic listening to it all, and it's nice to be recognised. But you're only as good as the tools you've got to work with. I'm a firm believer in that. You can either fight or you can't. Simple as that. As a trainer, you've got to know what to do. You've got to say the right things in the corner, get your tactics right, know what to do in certain stages of your training program, and obviously get your fighter making the weight correctly. But the bottom line is you can do that with an average kid and still not get the result. You do it with a kid that can really fight, and this is what happens. And all these elite trainers, so-called elite trainers, they've all had great fighters to work with, which makes your job a lot easier. You know what I mean? I could be sat here now giving myself loads of credit, saying I'm the next best trainer in the world. But listen, you're only as good as the fighter you've got to work with.
In terms of like the communication barrier between you and David, I know that David isn't the best English speaker. Have you polished up on your Russian? Have you got a Russian handbook?
I know one word, kag dela, and that means how are you? Well, not a word, a sentence. But no, the thing is, we've got Eric Timur in the corner, and he's a very good friend of David, an ex-pro, and he was a right handful back in the day, can really fight. If you check him out on BoxRec, Eric Timur, proper hard man. And he's actually Georgian Armenian, whereas David's Armenian Russian, but the main language is Armenian. So he comes in the corner with us, and since he's been in the corner, it's been great, because I will say my instructions and Eric will translate them straight away. Because even though he's probably understanding bits of what I'm saying, it's not all sinking in. You've only got a minute. And it's worked wonders in that corner. He's translating the words, and I'll just say to him, shout this out, Eric. Because if you're shouting instructions out in English, then the fighter can hear you, the opposition can hear you. So it's a little bit of a trick we've got going. You know what I mean? I always say to Eric, shout this out in Russian, Armenian, whatever. And the opposition can't hear what you say, can't understand what you're saying. So that's a good little trick we've got as well. But it's working very, very well. We've got a good team, and Neil Marsh has done fantastic. I mean, what he's done for David, people don't realise. I mean, he was just an average Russian over there that no one really knew. He heard about this. David Avanesian was a good fighter, got him over, had a look at him, invested in him highly, and it's paid dividends now.
So David's flew back to Russia. How quickly are you going to be looking to get another fight lined up for him, would you say? Is it going to be a couple of months out? Are we looking at something in June, July time?
Well, in the contract, Eddie's got 130 days, 35 days to get him another fight. So that's what we'll be looking at. What's that about? Is it about, I don't know, 3, 6, 9, 12, about 4.5 months, yeah. So I think the good thing is with David now, he's getting a great fan base. I mean, the British public are really warming to him because he's such a passionate man, and family and support means so much to him. and we're all warming to him. And the good thing is he's got an English team around him, manager, trainer, and corner, and obviously promoter now. And the sky's the limit. Listen, if he keeps winning and gets and wins this world title, he could become an household name. You know what I mean? His style's great. They love watching him. He's ferocious. He's got fantastic body puncher, nice uppercuts, short hooks. And he's always been up against it. The whole of his career, he's been near enough 90% of it, been the away fighter. Even as a champion, like you say, the other night, it really was the away fight. It was all around Josh Kelly. And keeps proving people wrong time and time again. But going to Bilbao back in 2019, in front of 12,000 screaming fans, all behind Kerman Draga, and hostile was not the word. It was unbelievable. Being in that environment and being involved in that, and obviously David having to go through that, proves what a top character of a person he is. You know what I mean? So nothing ever phases David after that.
In an ideal setting, 130 days down the line, we're going to be getting live fans coming back soon. You know, we had an announcement from Boris Johnson a couple of days ago, and things are looking on the up again on the sporting realm with fans coming back. Where would you like to see David fight?
Listen, we've been to America 3 times. We've been to Monte Carlo. We've been to Bilbao twice. We've been to Barcelona. So I don't mind fighting in England. We've got the best fans in the world. David really loves the British fans. I mean, he always says in his interviews, and the British press get behind him and the media. He gets none of this back home. I mean, Russia's the biggest country in the world, and even though he's a big fish, he's really over there. He's a big fish in a small pond. You know what I mean? So we don't get hardly any publicity, any credit. And coming over here, he's like a superstar. So I think we should just keep basing him over here, keep pushing him. If Eddie can get him a big name over here, then I'll be really happy with that.
I mean, this has been a long time coming. All the cancellations, all the to and fro in, and then to walk out of the SSE on Saturday with the belt, it must have been a major relief for you, as well as being completely and utterly, you know, over the moon.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Even after the first thing was passing the COVID test. That was the biggest relief, because even when you've got no symptoms, a lot of people are still failing them tests. And so I was more nervous about that to start with. I never even thinking about the fight. After we'd done all the training, all the hard work, I thought, right, the next thing now is passing the test. Once we passed that, then we had all the media around us. It was non-stop all week, and I'm talking like Sky Sports, IFL, Radio 5 Live, the Matchroom media. They've set their own team up now. It was high pressured, and you know what I mean. You was getting asked all these questions, and I kept coming out with the same answers, that David's going to win and all that. So yeah, but I forgot your question, Jack.
It was just talking about you being over the moon when it was all over.
Oh, yeah. So
it's a long time in the making, hasn't it, Carl?
Yeah, that was it, mate. Yeah, so even obviously as it was getting closer, I was getting more over. But you know what I mean? You never know in boxing until you're in that actual ring and the bell goes that the fight's on. Because even in the change rooms, somebody could get injured, take ill, and it's a crazy old game. You know what I mean? You never know in boxing until you're in that ring and the bell goes that the fight's on. But as it was getting closer and closer, I was getting more excited, more nerves. I was far more nervous for this fight probably than any other, because it was an high-pressured fight. Like I say, there was a lot of tension around it, especially being in a pandemic. All eyes was on this fight. It was massive. I'm talking massive, you know what I mean? I don't think anything will ever faze me now after being involved in this.
And when you communicated with Eddie Hearn after the fight, what did he say to you?
Yeah, he was just saying that what a fighter David is, you know what I mean? What a man. He just won't be denied. He's got that heart of a lion, that will to win. And I think we're really surprised because I was hearing little rumours going on in the bubble that Eddie was saying to a few people in the bubble, a few of the other trainers and that he expects a great performance from Josh and expects him to be getting David out there inside 4 rounds. So that's bite him in the bum, and it bit him in the bum. You know what I mean? So listen, Eddie had it covered, didn't he? I mean, he went in with the winner and he's come out with a winner. It's an old Don King trick, innit? As a promoter, you go in with a winner and you come out with a winner. He had it covered, and that's what's happened. And he'll really get behind David now. I really think he will. I think him and Neil are both very passionate about the sport and about David, and I think they'll get behind him now and do the best for him.
Just moving away from David and the announcement that we had recently about, fans coming back to live sport. This is fantastic news for yourself, Carl, because this means that you can start bringing some of your events back, bringing your fighters back and starting some shows up again.
Yeah, I mean, it's fantastic news. And all I will say is we're moving in the right direction, and I'm willing to promote whenever we can. It's all right, the government giving these announcements, but you've got to realise that the British Boxing Board of Control are going to have their restrictions as well. So, like I've said, until the testing stops, until the Board of Control say you don't need to test all the fighters, all the teams, everybody involved in the show, put them in an hotel for 3 days, feed them, then I will promote. If it's with half of a crowd, I'm more than willing to do it. I'll just budget the show around that. But like I've said before, me and Steve Wood worked it out, and just for the testing, the hotels and the food for a 7-fight show, you're looking at £18,000. Now, any promoter will tell you, even with a full crowd, at normal ticket prices and everything, and paying everybody, it's hard making money. It's hard making money with no TV. You're relying on sponsorship, you're relying on the lads selling the tickets, and it's still tough. So you can imagine breaking even on a show and then obviously still having to find £18,000 for the testing. It's just not possible. But I want to promote as soon as I can. Listen, I'm hoping it's going to be July now. I did say September. And I'll be doing some big shows at the Morningside Arena, Leicester. Get all my East Midlands fighters on there and start taking over.
As a personal viewpoint from yourself, Carl, by the end of 2021, what would you have liked to have achieved in boxing, aside from the European title defence of David Avanesian?
Yeah, I want David to obviously become a world champion. That'll be a dream come true. I mean, he's already held a version of a world title, but it went under the radar because he was a WBA interim champion, and he got made mandatory for Keith Thurman's WBA regular title, but Keith Thurman vacated because he didn't think David was a big enough name. I think he went on to fight Garcia. So we got upgraded to regular world champion, and he went into the Peterson fight as the champion, but people forget that. You know what I mean? It looked like it was a vacant title fight, but it wasn't. But it'd be nice to get David a proper world title around his waist. And obviously, my own fighters, I've got some great prospects coming through. I've probably got the best stable I've ever had, talent-wise. They're all in that period now, that transition period where, well, I'm in that transition period now where I'm bringing them all through and wanting to get them into championship contention. You know what I mean? In the next 2 or 3 years, I think I really believe that Carl Greaves Promotions is going to have some champions from English above. I've definitely got talented enough fighters to win a British title. So my aim really is to keep bringing them fighters through and getting them into manager positions for titles where you've got more of a chance of a level playing field. Because when you're going in there as a voluntary title fight, you're always up against it. You're in the away corner. But with the likes of Dex Spummer, when I won the purse bids, when he beat Kurt Garvey fight, it was more in his favour. So, and same with Sam Bowen, when I won the bids for that, for the British title fight. And I've got a reputation of knowing what to do, and just got to persevere and hopefully get my fighters in them positions.
Out of all the fighters that you've currently got in your stable, what 2 fighters are the ones to watch for this year to come through the ranks to push their careers forward, would you say?
Yeah, it's an hard one really because they're all at similar stages. You know what I mean? You've got Callum Blockley, you know, very talented. You've got, I don't really want to go into the names, so I might leave somebody out. But you've got Stannard. I mean, listen, I've got a book here. I don't want to leave anybody out. You know what I mean? So let's get it done properly. Yeah, I mean, if you go through my fighters. I mean, there's a lot of fighters there. Also, you got Ben Norman, very, very unbeaten. Sheldon Purdy, light flyweight. You know what I mean? He beat a world level fighter in his last fight. You know what I mean? Craig Derbyshire. I mean, knocking on the door for another mandatory challenger for an English title fight. Been a road warrior, but won 3 titles all in the away corner, 2 area titles, and an English title. You know what I mean? Louis Norman's coming back, very talented. Let's hope he can get a few wins together and then push on for titles. Brad Dawes is coming off a bad defeat, but it was an hard fight in the away corner on a big show, and he wanted to get out, but he's got all the ability there and the talent to go on and win titles. You got Levi Giles, 8-0, very, very good. Got Sam Bowen, former British champion, WBO Intercontinental champion. He's moving up to lightweight. Definitely titles there for him. You know what I mean? I've got obviously a load of road warriors, tough kids on the road. You know what I mean? Connor Ison's unbeaten. Sonny Price, I've just signed him up, 8-0, unbeaten. Callum Blockley, you know what I mean? 8-0, talented. Luke Fisher, very, very good. You know what I mean? I've oldest course because Central Area champion. Knocking on the door for an English title fight. Kyle Haywood wants a good fight. He's about 9-1. And you got Stanley Stannard, unbeaten, very good, talented prospect. Just signed 2 decent kids up, Damien Grice, Jane Richardson, a very good amateur, English international. Got Tom Carlin, very talented. James Raywolf, they're both unbeaten kids. Keenan Wingfield can really fight, unbeaten, good-looking kid, got everything going for him. Just signed Matty Eppelstall up, talented kid. Got Dex Spellman, going to be knocking on the doors for titles after a few wins. Ollie Marple's unbeaten. Billy Scott, very talented, former England international. Dan Cooper, 9-1, I think he is. Won an English eliminator. He'll be looking for an English title fight. Then you got Ellis Machin, you got Josh Quayle, 2 talented heavyweights that could do something. So, fantastic stable. Joan Valou and Andreas Ruas, cruiserweight, good fighters. So, I've got a great stable. I'm sorry to go on, but I didn't want to leave anybody out, mate. You know what I mean? I didn't want to have this interview when people say what you left me out for. But, yeah, so, no, honestly, I'm really excited about the future. And the sooner the better we get crowds back. We can get all them prospects fighting again and get them challenging for titles. I mean, the way to do it is build them up on your own shows, get them into manager positions where it goes to purse bids, and then obviously you're up against the big boys then, the big promoters, because half the time when you get them into manager positions, they're up against a TV fighter, and that's how you get your foot in the door, and which I've done in the past many times.
Good stuff. Carl, it's been absolutely brilliant speaking to you today, as always.
Brilliant, Jack.
Have you got any final words at all?
You know, I just want to thank everybody for the support. The support for this fight has been unbelievable. I had hundreds of messages before the fight. I tried to reply to everyone, and then after the fight, it just got absolutely bombarded. I must have had over 1,000 messages off over all the platforms on social media, WhatsApp, my message, and Facebook, Twitter. It's been absolutely unbelievable, and I just want to say thank you to everybody if I haven't replied, and it means so much. And get behind us, get behind David, get behind all my fighters in my team, because I'm an hard-working man, and I will deliver, and that's what I aim to do.
Carl, absolute pleasure. Enjoy the rest of your day, and thanks for coming on to Tough Sports TV.
Thank you, Jack. Keep up the good work, mate. Nice one.
Thanks, buddy. Cheers, Carl.
Top man.